you can also look back at a relationship and be like, I wasted 3 years of my life, and just feel like all of this regret, and kind of like just the process of kind of like giving that to God, and just knowing that God can redeem any amount of time, and just like, no, that's not a waste. And I can just, step out into confidence now into what God has for me. I don't know if you have any thoughts on like that feeling of, oh, I just wasted 3 years. What do I do now?
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up, because that was literally my next thought after you said that. I don't regret a thing. I really don't, because it's so paved the way for where I am now. First of all, it was not a terrible relationship. He was not abusive. He was not he was so gentle. He was so kind. He had a deep faith life. So it wasn't a bad relationship. It taught me so much about me, about my own faith, and about what I desire in a man. And so even though it was a long road and there were some really tough points, and it left me feeling very confused and unsure afterwards, it was very evident that the Lord had me go on that journey to pave the way for my husband, because then I could totally appreciate everything that my husband is. Goes through on what he's going to say. He's very like over the top loving in his words and his expressions and things like that, and takes me on beautiful dates, and just is always loving and affectionate. And I think had I not gone through that 3-year journey, I wouldn't have appreciated it. I would have, you used the word yesterday, like love bombing. I probably would have felt that way. Like, oh my gosh, this is too much.
Right.
But I don't. I don't at all. And I think I had to go through that 3-year journey to now appreciate what God had for me. And on the flip side of that, God was preparing my husband too. Like, my husband was going through stuff too that he needed to go through in order for the both of us to be ready for the sacrament of marriage.
Right. And I think as you're just talking, like how much God convicted you in your own faith and in your own beliefs, and that you were not going to sacrifice that for someone, because you could have very easily, the first time, in your story, when he came to you and was like, listen, I can't raise kids Catholic, like we're going to have to break up. You could have been like, okay, fine. Like, we don't have to, I know there's plenty of people that they make those kinds of compromises in their beliefs, and not judging, that's right for them. But you knew that for you, that was not what you were going to do. And it's just so cool to see in your story, because I know for a lot of people, they might not see that immediate, I don't want to say payoff, but for most people, they're not going to meet their future husband 3 weeks later after a breakup, but it's so cool to see your story, just that God, even if that's not what happens, God is using all of this in his timing and in his divine providence. He can use all of that to prepare you for whatever it is that he has next for you. You had a reversion on the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima, and then you get married on the Feast of Our Lady of Fatima. That was something that in your previous relationship, maybe wouldn't have been as appreciated, because he didn't share your Catholic faith. So it's cool to see how God, we think we know what we want, and God's like, no, I have so much better, but you just have to trust me. And that's so hard to do.
So hard. And you're so right in saying the 3-week thing, people thought I was crazy, and I got very concerned about what people were thinking about me. So that actually did cause me a lot of anxiety. And then finally I was like, I gotta let this go, because I'm going to sabotage something that's really good, something that I feel peace about, because I'm so concerned about what other people think about me. Which is that's a whole other discussion.
We can do a whole episode on that.
Yes. But it's right, because it might not happen that quick for everybody. And I want to highlight that it wasn't like I met my future husband and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the one, this is it.
Right.
It wasn't like that immediate, I know right away. I still had to grieve. The difference was my future husband at the time was helping me through that process. And I saw his selflessness, as I was going through that. And it just showed me like, okay, wow, this guy is just trying to be there for me. And that was really helpful. So I don't want to paint it as like, oh my gosh, and I met my husband and everything was perfect and fine. There were a lot of bumps to get to where we are now, for sure.